Each of us is born into this life, and at some point we leave it. But is that really the end? Life in itself is cyclical, and keeping in mind the information that Lee has already shared with us, what is there to life that we can learn about by studying death? Tammy Butler has her own near-death experience to share with us. You're watching Paradigm Shift, Sight Beyond Sight.
I've pretty much been able to see, hear, communicate with dead people for my whole life. When I was 21, I had a death experience. It wasn't near death, it was a death experience. And so when I went through all of that, it brought me back to the awareness of why I was really here. I was in a very severe car accident. It was fatal. I died. It was almost instantaneous, that it was just like I turned to vapor, and I was just up in this white light. And at first I was, because I've been there before, I remember that in meditations from when I sat and I meditated and from the things that I'd seen. And I got up there and there was like this council, and they were sitting at this round table, and they're like, well, we've been expecting you. It was very inviting, and it was beautiful. It was so warm, it was beautiful there. The energy was amazing. When I was sitting in that council, and this was the first time I had died, and I was sitting there and they were saying, but you promised, these are the things that you said you were going to do. And it was like a movie projector, but it was like I was sitting here and the movie projector was around the whole room. So everywhere I looked, I could see bits and pieces. And I hadn't had my daughter yet, but I saw my daughter, and I could see all these things that were happening around me. I must have remembered or wanted to come back or came back, because I woke up and I tried to start the car. And my son, he was 2, and he was sitting beside me, and he was screaming, and there was water coming in the car. Somehow my son and I got out, and we were up on top of the grass at the side of the road. Nobody knows how we got out of the car. All the windows were intact. The doors weren't open, and they were so bent in, they don't know how we got out. All I remember is just giving out phone numbers. Call so-and-so, this is their number. And just was giving out numbers, and I just said, don't let me pass out. Just don't let me pass out, because I'm gonna die. We were in the ambulance people came, and sure enough, I flatlined again, I died. And when I went up again, the same council was there, and they said, you're not to come back. And I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done, I'm just done. And they said, we talked about this, and it's just like, we just talked about this 5 minutes ago. They can't tell you what to do, you have free choice, free will, but they can sure open your eyes a lot. They call in the big guns, you know, your relatives. They call in people if they think that you need to come back, and they communicate in a good way. And it's so, it's just life-changing. And even now, I still have moments of just, holy cow. Like, oh yeah, they showed me that. Or you have that deja vu. And when you're having deja vu, by the way, it's an amazing thing. Pay attention to what you're doing and where you're at. Because deja vu is telling you you are right where you need to be. You've seen it, you've done it, you've been there, you're in that energy. It's the perfect place. So when you're having deja vu, be very aware of your moment and be very in your moment. The thing with death is that really I have kind of a twisted thing on that. I say that when you die, are you being born again? Like, what is the balance on that? Like, we say that we're being born, but really, are we dying because we're coming back to a carcass? Is it better to be in spirit? That is my experience with death. I am completely not afraid. I can hardly wait. Not saying that I wish it tomorrow or anything, but it is definitely nothing to be afraid of. So now I just do what I do and just speak to as many people as I can. And it's great to be here, part of that paradigm shift. And it's an honor to be here and to be able to speak with like minds and answer questions, things that I can share, things that I've learned over the years, things that need to be shared, and to make things easier for you guys. When I come and I talk to kids, I think it's really important because society tends to shut them down. All children are born with the knowing, all children are born with those abilities and gifts, but what oftentimes happens is we just ignore them, or we just say that it's their imagination, or we just dismiss it. The light workers in the age group of such as myself and people who are doing the energy work, and we're starting to come together, so we're able to help these children. And so when we come and speak, we're not telling them anything they don't already know. It's just a matter of them coming into that remembering. So just have me in, I'll come in, I'll teach you. We'll get you all lined up, and by the time the evening's over, you all know who your gatekeeper is, or you'll know who one of your good guides is, and call them in all the time. Especially in the times that are coming because of all the chaos and all of the things that are happening globally. Just as it is below is above. So as everything is happening down here, you can guarantee that it's rippling up into the etherics, and everybody is feeling it. Start developing your gifts. If you have your gifts, you should start developing them. Everybody is gifted. I would have to say that gut feeling, that is key. That gut feeling. Everybody dismisses it, but that is part of your intuition. That's one of your six senses. There's just that knowing, that cognizance, just the knowing of it. And oftentimes, if that's all that they've got to work with, they'll use it. So if that's the gift that you have and you're developing that, they're going to use it. Darn right they're going to use it. Oftentimes, you know, you're walking across the street, you hear your name, you turn around, nobody's there, but you could have been swacked by a bus, but you stopped, you heard them, right? There's so many crazy things that happen like that in a daily basis. The more aware you are, the more in tune you are, the more balanced you are in all of that, the good, the evil, the illusions, all of that. When you sit in your moment and you're being in that space, you opened up and leveled the playing field to hear, to be aware. They communicate however they need to communicate. A lot of people don't take the time to meditate. And so if you're not in your moment and you're not in that state of being in that moment, meditation and dream time are the same vibration. So if they're not going to be able to communicate to you with you taking time to meditate, they're going to come in your dream time because you're in that same vibration. So loved ones will come in because that's the time when your brain is shut off, you're in your moment, because you don't have a choice because you're sleeping, but they will come in and they will talk to you. When we are allowing our children to gather and come into community and to talk with each other and learn with each other and having people come in and help them so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel. I've had to reinvent the wheel again, you know. Past lives, I've done this so many times, and it's just good to see that it's all, you know, we can break that cycle and actually help our children before they have to stop and then go back and remember what they're doing. So having that consciousness, having that gathering, having that community is paramount in creating the evolution of what we need to do here on the planet this time. Spoon bending is so simple. Now watch, I won't be able to do it. But what it is it's not a spoon. So when you're meditating, but what I do is you just bend the spoon. Just close your eyes and basically you'll start to feel the spoon change. Like it'll just, it won't be a spoon. It just feels like Play-Doh or putty or whatever. And as soon as you feel it get to that point, you just bend it. And what happens is when you hold it, you'll feel it. It's like the molecules move. It feels like there's movement, but it feels like it's like plasticine. It doesn't even feel like metal. It doesn't feel like anything. It just feels kind of weird. And then that's when you're able to bend it. And there we bent your spoon.
Definitely a big skeptic when it comes to the physical stuff like that. I've never seen bending spoons before, but she pulled it off, bent a nice double loop. It was pretty awesome.
Tammy really inspired me to meditate. When she started talking about the spirit guides, I had a really strong physical reaction. I could hear my heartbeat for the half an hour after she started talking about spirit guides, and I think that really intrigued me, and I might meet up with her and go to one of her meditations.
I've been doing meditation for about almost half a year now, and seeing some of the stuff and hearing somebody who's been really into it for a long time and getting kind of their take on the perspective of it, it's been really interesting seeing how so many things relate to it and how you can things that you've been through and been discovering, people have already seen. There's kind of different guides and things explaining it.
She sort of reaffirmed a lot of the stuff that I knew or that I had a feeling for, but hearing it from someone who's been there, and especially that like a near-death experience, like I've known people to have near-death experiences before, or actual death experiences, and they describe it completely differently. But I think the most enlightening, pun intended, thing that she mentioned was, it's just like, you're all energy. And I felt in the middle, I suppose you can call it intuition, but like that is true.
I'm glad there's such a community behind it because it just helps you get more motivated into it and makes it that much more accessible and fun to do.
I didn't really expect anyone to be bending any spoons today, but I guess that just sort of happens, you know? When you start talking about one subject matter, it just sort of branches into the other subject matters. And in the same way that we're all energy, we're all connected and stuff like that, these common themes keep reoccurring. The most interesting part about it is that when you choose to engage yourself in this, these things are going to keep happening and you're going to start experiencing them for yourself. And it's amazing to see it happen firsthand. So the least I can say is onward and upwards from here. The shift has only begun.